Okay. What were some of your favorite memories of your mom and dad?
Oh boy, there's so many. Dad and I worked together on a elevator construction crew in 57, 56, 57. We built an elevator in Langen. We built one in Carrington. We built one in Minot. And then I think Dad stuck with them for a while, but I went on a repair crew. And we're a tinning crew. First they came back to Langdon and put the tin siding and roofing on the one we built. And then the same thing in Carrington and then the same thing in Minot. And then I went on a repair crew and we went all through South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, repairing grain elevators. And so we roomed together. We lived in Minot, worked in Minot, we lived in Delta. We had two guys there from South Dakota that worked with us. And they raised so much hell in Delta that we got kicked out. we had to move to Minot. And then we came home for the weekend one time, and from Velva, from Velva, we rode home with Sammy Zimiak. And you guys remember Sam Zimiak?
The name I do, yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, he was driving. I think he had like a 56, 57 kilo. And we drove home from Velva, which is about 160 miles, in an hour and 80 minutes, or hour and 40 minutes. Hour and 40 minutes we were home. Wasn't under 100 miles an hour all the way. And I don't know who was more scared, me or Dad.
Who was driving?
Sam. We didn't ride home with him anymore.
What about you, Billy?
Well, I worked with my mother, actually. Whoever she worked with in the hospital in the laundry got sick or something. So I ended up helping my mother do the laundry for the entire hospital for at least one whole summer, which was really kind of cool, actually. And then they stayed there and helped Agnes Pignelli wash every window in the whole damn hospital. And Dad didn't like bingo, so Mother would always insist that I take her to bingo at the Legion Club on Saturday night. And I would go there, and I really detest bingo myself. So after about the third number would be called, I'd go, oh! But Mother, oh, shut up, Bill, you don't have a bingo yet. And she just, pretty soon she didn't ever ask me to take her to bingo. And Dad, I was too young to work with Dad. Mom and Dad and I played a lot of pinochle together. And Dad would always get a kick out of it. If I was playing in front of Mother, and if she had the trump, I'd always lay the queen of trump to her. And she said, Billy, what the hell are you doing? I need a queen of trump for me. I said, speed up, Mom. So, we had, I remember I was the last one at home. Mother would cook the meals. Dad and I would always do the dishes. That was just no questions asked. But, there were a lot of fun memories. I remember when we were little kids, all the neighbor kids would come home about the time Dad got home from the field or home from laborers, because he'd always have gum for us, always. And they would just kind of make sure they're over at the Nowinski place with Dad got home, so they would stick it gum to him. Because a stick of gum was a pretty that big deal back then. But it was a good upbringing.
Why did they settle in Mount Carmel to begin with? Why
Well, that's
there?
because my grandfather, or our grandfather, homesteaded that. Why? I don't know. But, homestead, they get their 160 acres or whatever. And he was a mason by trade, so he built him a house. He probably built the first split level house in North Dakota. It was the rock foundation and up about 4 feet. And then it was wood from there up. It was a 3-story house. And you come in and go downstairs to living room and kitchen and whatever else is down there. And you go upstairs to the bedroom. And then if you went up another flight of stairs,
More bedrooms.
that's where grandma lived. But yeah, that was, and I don't know why, they come all the way across this right fertile, rich Red River Valley and settled in Mount Carmel Township among the rocks.
And he was
I
one
don't
of,
know.
and he was one of the first homesteaders
Yeah, he was
in that township, yeah.
1889, or 89, I think he came over.
And in Grandpa's house, when you looked out the living room window, you looked out on the grass. So it was earth shelter. It wasn't just a split level, it was earth shelter. It was the first earth shelter. Except for the shot houses, of course, that the Norwegians lived in.
So, Dad told me once that your dad and Mom had that actually Lou and he were born in like a wood log cabin just on
Oh, yeah,
this side of Canada.
just about in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long were they there? And why were they there?
I think they come out of there shortly after Donnie was born, because Pete was born in Langdon,
Okay.
in Brushy Hospital, I think it was.
And is that when they moved to the homestead?
That's when they moved to the farm,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like, what were we?
Half a mile
Just
east.
about 3/4 mile east and probably half a mile south of where the homestead was. And then that's where we lived until 1951 when we moved to town.
And that homestead, the big house, Grandpa's house, that was built back in the 1800s. And the folks, they never got married until 1931, so when they first got married, they lived out in the hills, up in the New Goodall Hills. And Dad had, how many acres of it? 40.
40 acres.
40 acres of forest, and according to my older siblings, he traded it for a car,
30 Chevrolet.
30 Chevrolet, and then they moved to this house in this. I remember tearing part of this house apart that we lived in on the farm, and the insulation in that house, and I'll swear on this to my dying day, had newspaper from Canada for the insulation glued on the outside boards of the wall. On the inside of the outside boards, that's all there was for insulation in that house. The big house had the double slab
Yeah.
insulation with the rock wool in it. But that house that we were in until 1951, the only insulation in that house was Canadian newspaper glued to the inside of the outside boards.
And it was small.
It's
Oh,
2 rooms upstairs, one for the boys, one for the girls.
yeah.
Horsehair blankets, space heater downstairs, wood stove in the kitchen. And I'm old enough to remember there would be ice in the wash basin in the kitchen in the morning. And my sisters back there will all attest to that. In fact, because I kind of remember, if I'm not mistaken, that they would be taking care of me when I was a baby, and when I get a wet diaper, they'd sit me up on top of that damn space heater to dry me off.
I thought that was kind of a pot belly stove. And we used to sit back there the night and rub our hairs and
Well, it
get
was
these
space
sparks. Huh?
It was a
That
space heater.
Oh, I-
There's one of those brown space heaters with the isinglass in it.
Yeah.
We had one of those in the basement too, didn't we? With isinglass in it?
No, there's a furnace in it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What's your worst fishing story?
I don't have one.
There is no such thing as the worst fishing.
What do you mean?
I think that's
The worst day of fishing is better than the best day of work.
Okay, what's your best fishing story?
Oh, man, it's gotta be that,
When Donnie lost his sunglasses.
Oh, God.
yeah, that, but as far as best fishing was that,
That's
by the
Like the slough on County One.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best.
Well, Jeannie fished that a lot too, but,
Jeannie and I went ice fishing, summer fishing at the same time over there one time. There was water and ice, and they'd bite out in the water, and then we'd pull them up on the ice and let them break the ice as we pulled them in. And we had a heck of a good time. Cold foggy morning.
then there was one trip we took up to Grand Rapids, up in Manitoba, like 300 miles north of where we lived. And Donnie, of course, he only had this big Mershon pipe in his mouth and sunglasses on and his big hat. And we were parked, I don't know why we parked there, somebody probably had to go bathroom, but he got up and stepped on a log and he fell in. So he retrieved his pipe, or didn't have it, he had a pipe in his mouth when he came
Come
out.
up with the pipe.
And we retrieved his hat, but he lost his sunflower or his sunglasses. So he was trying to catch a fish. He said, if anybody catches a fish with sunglasses on, it's mine.
And then later on, I remember right, my son Neil drew a picture for him with a fish with sunglasses on and gave it to him. Yeah, that was the funniest. Well, but another one, but Pete, Pete is the biggest fisherman liner in the world. Anybody knows Pete? And we were up, it was just Pete and Rick and Steve and I were up to Grand Rapids with Pete's boat. And we were fishing, and Pete was the only one catching fish. He had this little purple plug that he was using. And he'd catch fish, and Rick would take it off. Rick was sitting behind him, and I think Steve was sitting behind me. And Rick would take the lure off and throw it back, and put the fish in the stringer and throw it in the water. One time the lure got hooked up in the net. So the only way he could get out of the net is he had to take the lure off the line. Okay? So he took the lure off the line, got the fish off, handed Pete the lure on this side of him. He took the lure and went, and said, "What the?" Rick and Steve and I started laughing, and the more we laughed, the more pissed Pete got. One of the funniest things, you asked Steve or Rick about, so ask Steve about, or Rick about throwing Pete's lure away at Grand Rapids. He'll tell you the story too. That was the funniest thing that ever happened.
Pete also melted down a bunch of lead wheel weights, made them weight about that long and about that big around. And we were up there fishing with some Myers boys from down Lake Erie where Pete was. We had bets on the biggest fish. So one of the Myers boys come in with a nice northern like this. Pete come in with one about like this. And they weighed him. Pete was heavier than the other one. He threw it up on the fillet tail and went clunk. We had a lot of fun fishing. We still do.
We do.
There was a story that somebody had mentioned that I've never heard about, and I would have asked Uncle Pete about, but he didn't come. But did he get stuck under a grain bin or
No,
something?
I did.
You did.
I did. He dug me out.
He dug you out.
We were
Okay.
collecting eggs.
Okay.
You know, chickens are going to the eggs.
Oh.
So we were there collecting, and it wasn't that far off the ground. Well, I got my head through under this floor joist and got some eggs and went to come out and I couldn't get out. So he had a big spoon or something and he dug out enough so I could get my head down far enough to get out. Yeah,
And how old were you?
probably 10 or 11 or something. Well, we pulled some real shenanigans out of the farm. Oh, when the folks go away, one time we took 22. Okay, we're just a bunch of little kids, but we're gonna go shooting something. So we're gonna shoot a duck. We're down east of the house on the highway. And I don't know if Pete had the gun or Donnie had the gun, but it went off. And we're right between either Donnie or whoever had the gun shot between the other guy's toes. But then we're doing some tiger practice up in the yard one time. So we got Dad's tractor sitting over here. The target's over here. So it's my turn to shoot. And I pulled the trigger and put a hole in the gas tank in the tractor.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Old D. Joe there. I remember it well.
That's why you It's a couple.
So that's one that, Dad, we got a little chewing out about that. But then Pete and I, one time, it was about 1949, 48, 49, Dad bought this new Cockshot 30 tractor down at Edmore. And boy, that was his pride and joy. So, again, he was gone, down in town. And Pete and I decided, you know, it snowed a little bit, and it was just a nice grassy spot behind the barn, and kind of a slope. So it'd be fun to just take that tractor and just slide down it. So he was driving, and I was standing beside him, and we were down that part way down, and he'd turn, I'd hit the wheel brake, and then just slide down. Oh, it was a lot of fun. And after about the fourth time, we broke the axle. Down went the tractor. Oh shit, behind the barn. We sat, we fretted till Dad got home, and we didn't know who was gonna tell him. So finally, I think we probably both did. So we took him out there and showed him. Never give us hell, just shoot the head. Said, well, maybe one of you got hurt.
He said, but
Well, that's one
As long
thing.
as nobody got hurt.
Yeah,
Nobody got hurt.
And Dad didn't have to say much.
Well, no.
Dad didn't say much at all. All he had to do is,
He give you a
all he
look
had to do
like
is
this.
give you that look. Love that. Give you that look. Whatever you're doing, boy, you knock that shit off right now. Right, girls?
that is true. That is true.
Just the look.
All you had to do is look at you.
You didn't have to say boo.
Yeah.
And for all the hell we raised, I don't think Dad ever raised a hand to us.
I don't know.
Nope, but they did.
Not that he shouldn't have.
Okay. All right. Uncle Billy, were you in a car accident with my dad ever?
Yeah, I was in a car accident with your dad ever. Came home. Was he married yet, Lorraine? He wasn't, was he? We dropped you off at church. It was Saturday night. We dropped you off at church. And he went down and turned onto Highway 1. And he had that old 57 pump jack at Pontiac that blew like hell. And he punched it, and he laid rubber all the way to Dairyland, damn near. Till he hit some brakes, because some idiot pulled in front of us. And, yeah, your dad lost his teeth, bottom teeth, they broke off, they had to fix them. I hit the dash, took a chunk out of the dash, didn't lose any teeth, but they didn't think I broke my nose, but I did break my nose. And then, I think that was the deal where your dad was given the option of going to jail or going to the service. If I remember right. Am I right on that? Girls, yeah.
I don't know.
And that's when he volunteered for the draft and he put his 2 years in. So I think maybe he had just got married. Is Liz, he was married when he was in the army, wasn't he?
He was, no, they got married when he was in the army.
They got married when he was in the army.
Yeah.
But I didn't-
Should we come back to that one?
Well,
You go ahead.
I remember that Mary and I, we weren't in school yet when we were on the farm. And one of the things that was really a treat is that when Mom would pack the lunches for the kids that went to the country school, I believe we'd get either a wedge or like a half an orange. Remember that, Marilyn? We'd get a half an orange, and that was like really a treat because fresh fruit on the farm wasn't like a mainstay, you know, it's something that was cherished. I remember that, and I remember the rain falling in the outhouse.
I don't remember.
Do tell that story.
Yes.
Well, somebody tipped their outhouse at Halloween and we didn't know it. The rain went out, we used it, and that was okay.
Guys, I'm sorry.
So,
We're gonna.
What was the story that you were talking about with my dad being dropped in a well?
Oh, you tell it, because I thought he had fallen in the well. I was crying.
No, he didn't fall in the well. The pipe in the well had come apart. And it was down there probably, 10, 12 feet. So who's gonna go fix it? How are we gonna fix it? Donnie said, I'll go. He said, give me a rope or a chain or something. So we put a chain around him, lowered him down there. I think we had it hooked to that cockshot tractor, I think. And anyway, he got down there, you put the pipe back together, and everything was fine. Put him back up, no problem. Problem solved.
Uncle Ole,
Yes.
what is your real name?
Edward Harold Nowatzki on my birth certificate.
Okay.
And my Uncle Frank, when I was 2 years old, my hair was white. And he called me Ole the Swede.
And that,
And the Ole stuck. It's
Isn't
been
there a-
Ole ever since. And 90% of the people in Langdon don't know that I'm Harold Nowatzki.
We didn't know you were Edward Nowatzki.
I
didn't know I had an Uncle Edward.
I didn't know until I was probably 55 or 60.
So Darren, the little shit, the little booger, calls me Eddie Harry. Yeah. Now he just calls me Eddie. But Jerry, when I was working up at REA, this was kind of funny. It wasn't funny because I was mad at those girls for a long, long time. But our receptionist and our office manager got together with Jerry, and Jerry told him what my real name was. So when I had a birthday coming around, they put it in the Republican, Happy Birthday, Eddie Harry. And they suffered for that for a long time.
Well, I found out at Jeannie's down at Maple Lake, so I called Ole up and I said, "Hey Eddie, how you doing?" And he knew it was me right away.
Can you tell us some memories about Aunt Lou? Your best memories?
If I do it,
Okay. Okay.
went on a trip with them someplace.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They had a camper, and they
Right.
drove.
Yeah.
59 Chevy 6-cylinder, and they drove that thing all over hell through the mountains. It didn't
Yeah.
matter. Didn't matter.
Is that it?
do we have any more time?
I don't know. It cut off. I don't know what part of that I got and what I didn't.
Oh.
It's back on now. I know.
Very
okay.
nice
We
service.
Yeah.
We may have to come back to you. So are we done? Can we?
Why don't you ask a couple more questions, and then we'll call it.
Hold on.
Uncle Bill, how did you meet your wife? Aunt Linda.
How did I meet her? Well, we went to school together. She went to Mount Carmel through 8th grade, and then we met in high school. And we dated a little bit when we were sophomores, I think. And then we didn't date anymore until, oh shit, I think it was, oh excuse me, probably between sophomore and junior year in college. I was walking down the street in Langdon, and she walks out of the bakery. I said, "Hey." She said, "Hey." We started dating, and when we graduated from college in 1969, I gave her a diamond, and we got married in December. Just like that. We've been married for 52 years.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Only how'd you meet Mark?
Actually, we met in the movie theater. In the balcony is a movie theater. I remember it well.
Do tell.
Do we want to hear this?
That's how and where we met. We knew each other before then. Because, we were just running around raising hell here and there. Yeah, she's good. We started dating, we dated for a while, and then got engaged. It's funny, I was driving the 83 Oldsmobile, and I'm driving down one of the side streets in Langdon one day, and this carpenter I met him, and he was building a house, and he was admiring his work on the house, and he ran right in front of my Buick, or my Oldsmobile. So I got a pretty good insurance check out of that, and I went and bought a diamond ring.
We're done, or?
It's up to you guys.
And
Okay, I could do a couple quick ones.
15th of next month, it'll be 63 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that-
You guys got questions? Did they ever answer those?
No, they haven't.
Do you want to give those questions
I
a
can.
read or whatever?
I can do
Because
this
we're
quick.
I thought
we'll
we-
go as
Mine
until it
says,
quits, so.
what was your best memories of school and your favorite teacher and or subject?
That was,
I didn't like school.
That was a question submitted by your daughter, Anne, by the way.
Oh, sure she would. That's why the English was correct on it. Okay, she would never screw up. No, I didn't like school. I didn't detest it, but I didn't like school until I was about a sophomore in high school, I think. In fact, as a grade school teachers, my kids got a hold of my 7th and 8th grade report card one time, and they were rolling on the frickin' ground laughing at my grades. That's how bad they were. I just found it the other day, actually, when I was digging through something. And I took it out and showed it to Lynn, and she was laughing too. But, yeah, it's, the nuns, they passed me just to get me the hell out of grade school. I know that for a fact. And then I met Sister Yvonne as a sophomore, and I went from a D student to a B plus A minus student by the time I graduated from high school. Yeah.
Okay, Uncle Ole, what's your,
Mine says favorite holiday. Why? And I would say Christmas. Because we used to always get together at Christmas.
Oh God, did we ever?
We were kids even after we were all married. We'd go to midnight mass. After midnight mass, we went down to Folch's house. Mom did sausage and all kinds of goodies. And it just carried on. I mean, Christmas has been Christmas. We spent Christmas at Patty's a few years, and yeah. Just good.
Can you explain what an average Christmas might be when you were growing up on the farm
or in the house.
Boy,
or in the house?
Christmas
Well,
on the farm was a long. I know one of the real memories of Christmas on the farm was we got the electricity on our farm on Christmas Eve in 1949. And it was Christmas Eve when they hooked us up,
wow.
and Dad left the yard light on all night.
Right?
But we, we do a lot of visiting on the farm. I remember when it was 30 below, we'd take the old horse and stone boat and go. Folks would, I took them one time, we went 2 miles. They had these old buffalo robes that they cover up with, went 2 miles to play cards with the Swartzes, Bill Swartz and his wife. Play cards, come home midnight, 1 o'clock, nothing else to do.
And back then, that was the entertainment. You had house parties. You didn't go to movies. You didn't go out to eat. Everybody in the countryside would take turns hosting card parties, and everybody would congregate there, and the kids would sit with blankets over their heads, listen to the radio shows on the radio, so that they didn't have to listen to the old folks gabbing. And back then, you were a kid, you were seen, you weren't heard. I mean, you were seen, you weren't heard. And that's the way life was. We didn't have all the entertainment
crap you got in this day and age. I mean,
Dad had
you
an
made
old-
your own
Dad-
entertainment.
Dad had an old radio. he loved to listen to these prize fights. And he would sit there with that radio with a blanket over him and the radio, and he'd sit for hours listening to that fight.
Yeah, and that's one thing I remember as a
And you
kid.
damn kids better be quiet.
Yeah, that's one thing Dad and I always watched was Saturday Night Boxing. That was a big show, Saturday Night Boxing. When I was a kid, Dad and I never missed it. And my mother loved All-Star Wrestling.
Really?
She would sit there crochet and watch wrestling. She would never miss a stitch. She was so good at it, she didn't have to look at the book. She just, and she'd watch wrestling. I remember one time Vern Gagne had this guy in a hold, and or some guy had Vern Gagne, her favorite wrestler, in a hold. And Mother just blurts out, "Bite him in the balls!" I'm going, "Okay, Mom, calm down."
Do you remember any of the boxers from that era?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not. My favorite boxer was, my hero was Joe Louis, of course, the Brown Bomber. But Rocky Marciano was around back then. Geez, there's so many of them. It's been so long since I followed boxing. No, that's all I remember. Oh, Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali. My God, yeah. Sonny Liston. Now they're coming back. Sugar Ray Leonard was a great boxer. Yeah, there was a lot of good boxers back then. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. Yeah.
Did you used to have house parties in town with Pee Wee Olson?
Oh yes,
Oh yeah?
oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Over to, well, we had a lot of parties over at Cardis's, Mark and Margaret's, and Pee Wee was, yeah, he was usually there. Him and his brother Chuck, and can't think of his other brother's name, Gene, I think. Yeah, and lots of girls. Oh, yeah.
And when was, how old were you how old were you then?
18,
Yeah.
17, 18, 19. Old enough to drink, but not big old enough to buy it. There you go.
So, I know that Daddy had, played guitar, and I think when Mom and Dad first started dating, there was was it a bar or someplace where did you guys get together? Because there's lots of photos of you guys with guitars and accordions and stuff. Was that like always or?
Lou played the accordion. Patty played the accordion.
Jeannie did too.
Yeah.
Very little.
So is that,
I got
Dad-
one for my
Dad played the fiddle.
high school graduation. Your dad brought it back from Germany.
When we had parties at our house down in the basement, Pee Wee Olson and Chuck would come over and they had the guitars along with whoever. They used to have a keg of beer.
Yeah.
I played the accordion, we've got pictures of that.
12 was 19. So how do you explain kind of the family's musical legacy? If you all learned instruments, was that at your parents' insistence or?
Oh, I don't. No.
I played the radio.
No,
That was easy.
I don't know how, I don't remember when Joe picked up the guitar, but I picked it up when I was about 8th grader, I suppose, 7th or 8th grader. And it just, well, I can remember a family reunion down at Maple Lake one time, and we're doing a toast in Jeannie's kitchen, and my older boys were there, and she told them flat out, okay, it's up to you guys to keep on this tradition. And after that, they started playing guitar, and they got their own band now, so they're pretty good.
Yeah, and they all played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about what's your favorite campfire song or your favorite song out of the
The red hymnal.
Red hymnal.
Out of the favorite song, I don't know if it's out of the hymnal or not, but
Put another log on the fire.
put another log on the fire. Good night, Irene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
Lord,
one.
it's hard to be humble.
Lord, it's hard to be humble.
Blue eyes crying in the rain
Oh,
and
yeah.
Okie from Muskogee.
Good to be back home
Yep,
again.
we like tomorrow.
And it's good to be back home
Good to
again,
be back
John
home.
Denver.
Denver, some Denver songs.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots. We got a big book. I think it's
Yeah, the
how many
red
pages?
hymnal.
400 pages or something like that.
Oh, we should
And
have
if
asked
your
you about the
dad
red
was along,
hymnal, putting that together.
He and Johnny would play, and your dad would, they would sing China Doll.
Oh, God, yeah, your dad always did for yeah.
You did.
All right, guys, thank you so much
Okay.
for this. And,
Thanks for-
obviously,
You know,
keep the stories coming.
Mary Lou
It's-
and
it's-
Jeannie got most of it left.
Say that again.
Yeah.
What I was
He
saying.
wants that on there.
Yeah, repeat that again. I don't know how much I caught it.
Oh,
Still have it.
Mary Lou and Jeannie said that when we went out on the farm, we didn't have much. And I said, some of us still got part of the left.